Ball 4. Let's go, Mikey. Throw strikes. Let's go. Throw strikes.
Just throw strikes. What do you think I'm trying to do right now?
Coaches, is your only go-to to say, just throw strikes? Well, guess what? That's not gonna work. We're gonna show you the do's and don'ts of how to coach your pitchers. Let's go, Mikey. Just throw hard. Just throw hard.
Just throw hard. Just throw hard. Coaches, just throw hard is not an adjustment that is going to help your player start to throw strikes. Although we want to be aggressive as a pitcher, we need to look out for a few cues as a coach to help that pitcher throw strikes. For example, when a pitcher tries to throw harder than they're capable of, they lose their balance, rhythm, and timing on the mound. Opposed to telling them to just throw hard, maybe tell them, hey, keep a good rhythm on the mound. That way that pitcher is getting to the top of their leg lift, driving towards home plate, and finishing their pitch at the end.
Come on, Mikey, just throw from the windup. Just throw from the windup. Get that leg up. Let's go.
What the heck's the windup? Coaches, before we make any of those calls from the dugout, make sure your players know what the windup is, as well as what the stretch is. The stretch is where we come set and our feet are about shoulder width apart, our hands are in the middle of our body, and our front shoulder is facing home plate. The windup is where we start with both of our toes facing home plate and add an extra step in before we get to the spot in our delivery where our knee starts to come up. Regardless of if you're pitching in the stretch or the windup, there are a certain few cues that we need to make sure that we're doing. Cue number 1, we need to make sure that our knee is getting all the way up past our waist before we start moving forward. Cue number 2, we need to make sure that our front hip is staying in direction with our target, the catcher behind home plate. Cue number 3, when we're done throwing this pitch, we need to make sure that we're taking our chest over our front knee and our front foot so that we're assuring we finish our delivery every pitch that we throw. If you're coaching 10U, it's okay for that pitcher to throw from the stretch or to throw from the windup. But I want you to leave that up to the kid. A lot of kids are more comfortable throwing in the stretch. Some kids are more comfortable throwing in the windup. When we're pitching in the windup, yes, it is a little bit easier for us to develop a little bit more rhythm going down the mound, but if we're missing boxes that should be checked, such as not getting to the top of our leg lift, rushing forward when we go down the mound, or losing our footing because we're pitching in the windup is not better for a youth player.
Here we go, Mikey. Throw it easy and aim the ball. Aim the ball. We need strikes. Throw it easy and aim it.
All right, left shoulder, left shoulder, left shoulder, left shoulder, left shoulder, left shoulder. Coaches, aim the baseball is not a good cue to give your pitchers when they're standing on the mound. 10U players, 11U players, even younger, when they think aim, they think slow. When they think slow, they change the way that their body moves when they go down the mound because they're just trying to throw this over the strike zone. As a coach, we're trying to teach how to repeat our delivery over and over again. We've seen throw the ball hard and we've seen aim the baseball. We want to shoot for a good tempo, a good rhythm where we're aggressive towards home plate but not losing control of our body. The two results that are going to come from aiming the baseball are not throwing strikes still or throwing a strike right down the middle that gets hit 250 feet over the center field fence. So what we like to do instead is pick out your spot and commit to it. One of the things that I love to say as a coach from the dugout is to throw it through the target, not to the target. When we try to throw it to the target, we get into an aiming mentality as a pitcher. When we think throw it through the target, we keep our body moving through home plate, getting our body into that finished position that we spoke about before.
Mikey, way to get ahead. Throw him the change curve.
Coaches, way too often a kid walks in and has 6 different pitches that they throw at the age of 10. Our job as a coach is to help them repeat their delivery with 3 common pitches: 4-seam fastball, 2-seam fastball, and changeup. What we don't want to happen is for a kid to fall in love with a curveball or a slider at age 10, not only because it's not great for their arm, but also because it takes their attention away from those 3 primary pitches that they need to learn at this age to be successful as they continue to play the game. All right, coaches, let's go over the 3 proper grips when it comes to the 3 pitches that we need to be throwing. Grip number 1, we have 4-seam fastball. All right, if you have a 10U player whose hands maybe aren't as big, 3 fingers over the 4-seam lace with our thumb underneath the baseball is good. The second grip, 2-seam fastball. Pick out the railroad tracks. Let's get our pointer finger and our middle finger with our thumb underneath the ball right across those laces. Grip number 3, there's a couple different ways you can throw it, but the 2 most basic, we have a 4-seam changeup where our middle finger and our ring finger are over the 4 seams while our other 2 fingers are on the side of the baseball and our thumb is underneath. Or we have our 2-seam changeup where our middle finger and our ring finger are over the railroad tracks, pointer and pinky are on the side, and thumb is underneath. With all 3 of these pitches, let's make sure we're throwing them just as aggressive as one another. We're throwing them with the same intensity, and we're releasing that baseball in the same spot out in front of us. All right, coaches, we talked about the do's and the don'ts of what to bark out from the dugout at your pitcher when they're pitching in a game. Let's go over some basic mechanics to look out for so that when that inning turns over, you can have a short conversation with that player to try to make an adjustment while in the dugout. Very first thing, let's make sure that that pitcher is balanced over their back leg. Meaning, if I'm a righty and I'm pitching, I want to make sure that my front knee gets all the way up and I'm in a good balance position over my back foot. If I come up and on my way up I start to fall forward, I'm no longer balanced over the rubber, and that's going to affect the rest of my delivery. Mechanics adjustment number 2 to look out for. When a player doesn't have good direction towards home plate, you're going to see that player come up and start to open up as they go down the mound. If our direction is going towards the first base dugout and I'm trying to throw this baseball towards home plate, my mechanics are not going to click properly. The best way to teach better direction for a youth pitcher is when they get to the top of their leg lift, make sure that we're taking this lead hip towards the target that we're trying to throw at. Our lower body, our knee, our foot are going to follow where that hip goes. If I'm a pitcher that's closing myself off, that means I'm stepping across my body and my front hip is directed towards the third base dugout. If I'm a player that's opening up, when I get to the top of my leg lift, that hip starts to open up towards the first base dugout, causing an issue in my direction. Good direction for a pitcher is coming up and taking our front hip right towards that target so that our feet are in line when our foot hits the ground at the end of the mound. The last piece that I want you to look out for as a coach sitting in the dugout during an inning is to make sure that our players are following through or finishing our delivery at the end of the mound. A lot of times pitchers have good balance, they have good direction, but when it comes time for them to throw the baseball, they give up on it when we let go of the ball, causing that player to stand up, causing that player to fall off to the side, or worse, causing that player to fall back towards where they were coming from. A simple cue, something that you can work on at practice, is making sure that when we throw that baseball, we're finishing with our chest and our head over our front side, assuring that that baseball gets out in front of us. You'll know if your player is doing this correctly because when they're done throwing that pitch, their back leg will be coming around further than where their front foot is planted. Coaches, a common question we get is, how do you incorporate pitching into practice? There's so much to go over with base running, infield, outfield. How do you get pitchers involved more at practice? One thing that we like to do is run a lot of simulated games. For pitchers who are just getting into it, it's really good for them to see a hitter stand in the box opposed to just throwing a bullpen to their teammate or to their coach. A couple things that you can do is Designate a coach during practice to take your pitchers down the line to get your bullpen reps in. Remember, when you're throwing a bullpen, we're going over 4-seam, 2-seam, and change up with that player. It doesn't need to be a lengthy bullpen, just enough to get them extra reps in at practice so that they can go back to their position and continue practice. However you want to incorporate pitching at practice, it's critical that we practice pitching during the week. So whether that be at practice for a designated time or that player's coming into a facility or practicing on their own, throwing on the mound and pitching on the mound can not only happen on the weekends when we're pitching in a game. Like, subscribe, and comment below for more videos like this.